we're going to have a minute or two of just to allow people to come on. But essentially, what I want to talk about for this first run through is the importance of audience building. So this has kind of been the topic of the month here for the membership guys. We've been talking about it on the podcast, we've been talking about it on the blog, and the reason is because it's such a hugely important, but unfortunately overlooked area of launching, planning, and running a membership site. And even for people who get that it's an important thing to do, they think that the sort of stuff like researching your audience and validating ideas and all that it's something you do before you launch, when it's something that should always actually be kind of quite close to the top, if not at the top of your list for priorities as a membership site owner. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and as we jump into it, you will have to forgive in advance any technological cock-ups, because I am just playing around with a new cocktail of software here. It all seems to be holding up quite nicely. And if you do have any questions as we go on, please do pop them in the comments in the chat, and I'll make sure we get to those at the end. If you do have a question, but you know you need to disappear in 5 or 10 minutes time, ask it anyway. We'll make sure it gets answered, and obviously you'll be able to watch on a replay to see what we've said. So let's do this. We're talking about the importance of building an audience. All right. Now, when people are first starting up their membership sites, what typically happens is they get an idea in their head. They think, this is a fantastic idea, I'm going to go for it. Now, what membership plugin do I need to use? Or what content should I produce? Should I do courses? Should I do webinars? Should I do all of that? And they jump straight into planning. They jump straight into the mechanics of making this thing happen. They don't spend any time building an audience, or they take for granted that whatever audience they've got, whatever following they already have, is the right fit for what they're planning to do with their membership. Now, when it comes to those sort of situations, when people fall into that trap of just diving straight in and building your membership and not stopping to, first of all, think whether this is an idea. Second of all, figure out whether they actually have a market out there for this. And third, whether they are capable of reaching that market. Then what happens is they invest time, they invest money, they invest effort and resources into putting together this membership site. And then they open the doors and it's crickets. Crickets riding on the back of tumbleweeds. And the reason is because they don't have an audience. Or the audience they do have that they just assumed would be interested in what they had to offer was never the right fit in the first place. So this is why it's important to actually dedicate a little bit of time, to show a little bit of patience when you're bringing together your membership plans, to actually build an audience, dedicated time to audience building. Because regardless of what Kevin Costner may say or may think, build it and they will come is not a valid business strategy. Screw that guy, right? So if you're plowing ahead with plans for a membership site and you haven't thought about your audience, thought about your market, thought about whether you actually have the people you want to serve within an audience that you're able to tap into, to engage, to email, to talk to question, all that sort of stuff. If you haven't thought about that sort of thing, then essentially you're just expecting somehow people to detect the brilliance of your membership site. And it doesn't matter how great your site is, how great your content is, how attractive everything is, how well it works, what fancy features, what nuts and bolts you have. If you don't have an audience, you don't have anybody to sell to. Where are your members actually going to come from? So it's really, really important that you pay attention to this stuff. And obviously, in what we're saying there is in the context of planning and launching your membership. But this is an ongoing thing. You know, you're not, with a membership site, you're not creating a one-off static product that when it's done, it's done. You're running something that is ever evolving, that is ever changing, and considering that the needs of your audience will also be ever evolving and ever changing, you need to keep your finger on the pulse of it. So if you're watching this live or on a replay and you're thinking to yourself, well, that's all well and good, Mike, but my membership's already up and running and it's all great for now. You need to take that long-term view and recognize that this is crucial as part of your ongoing marketing and part of the ongoing development for your membership site. So you can certainly launch if you don't have an audience. In fact, I've dedicated a whole podcast to talking about how you do that. But in doing so, you're pushing water up a hill. It's going to be an uphill struggle. And you're going to have to, ultimately, if you don't have an audience of your own, you're going to have to pay to tap into other people's audiences, either with big affiliate commissions to people who do have audiences or to Facebook. And sure, that can get you so far, and sure, you might want to look at doing that as part of a launch, but that shouldn't be the only place that you're getting membership sales from, because if it is, it's not really viable as a long-term strategy. At some point, you need to have an organically created audience of your own. So you may think that, maybe you've got an email list right now, maybe you've got Facebook fans, you've got a Facebook page that has a lot of likes, and so perhaps you think, okay, I'm good, I'm set. For me, I've got 1,000 people on my email list, I've got 1,000 people on my page, so that's it, I'm done. I know that I've got my audience there. I know that these are the guys I'm going to market to, but it's not enough to just have an audience. It needs to be an audience that is the right fit. So if you do have an email list, where did those guys come from? And when did they come into your audience? If you have an email list that is sitting there in MailChimp or in Aweber and you started it 5 or 6 years ago when you were just doing one-on-one client stuff, and maybe you've changed direction 2 or 3 times, and you're looking at that and thinking, okay, that's my audience, that's my list, chances are those guys, what brought them to you in the first place isn't what you're now going to be doing with your membership. So if you're looking at this social following, you're looking at your Facebook fans and think, great, I've got thousands of people. Now, if only 10% of those bought, then it's a big payday for me. Are they actually still relevant? Are they actually going to be interested in what you're now doing with your membership? Because chances are they're not. If somebody signed up to your newsletter 3 or 4 years ago, or you met somebody at a business networking breakfast in the back end of nowhere, years and years and years past, and you've gone through 3 business name changes since then, and you've totally changed direction, those guys aren't going to care about your new membership. So it's important with all this stuff to recognize, even if you do have an audience, that doesn't mean you're good to go. You need to really ask, you need to really audit those guys to see whether they're still relevant, and be willing to do the hard thing of letting go of your old, stagnant, irrelevant audiences that don't actually want to come with you on this new journey. By all means, ask them, conduct a little survey. Let them know what's going on, give them the option of following you, but don't assume that everybody who currently follows you, who's currently on your list, is right for what you're doing. I know that with Callie and I, with the membership guys, about 95% of the people we already had on our email list, on our Facebook page, and all that sort of stuff, they were from a past life. They were from when we were doing more general services outside of just focusing on memberships, and so they weren't relevant, and they hadn't been engaged for a while. So you have to be willing to let go of people within your audience that aren't relevant. And if that means starting from scratch, then so be it. Just a shout out there. Thank you. Colin Gray is in the house. Colin, thank you for taking a little bit of time out of the afternoon to hang out with us here. Really appreciate it. We've got Callie's tuning in. It's always a good sign when your partner shows up. It's either to tell me that I'm doing something terribly wrong, or it's to at least feign support there. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. Robert Thomas. Hey guys, what you doing? Hey Robert, how's it going? Thanks for coming along. Thank you for all the thumbs up, the hearts. I've seen a little angry face in there. I'm going to need to watch back and see whether that's angry at me or just, angry at the idea of having to do some real work. Who knows? So we're talking about the importance of building an audience, and it all really starts with figuring out who you want to serve. That's your first step. Who do you actually want to serve? And that question alone can be enough for you to go back and audit your existing audience and figure out, does the person I want to serve, is that who currently follows me on social media? Is it the makeup of the people in my Facebook group? Is it the typical profile of somebody on my email list? So first of all, figure out who you want to serve. Secondly, find out where they're hanging out. I'm seeing there, Caroline. It's Caroline McKenna who pressed the angry face after I told her not to. That's fine. I was asking for that. So first step, figure out who you want to serve. Second step, find out where those people are, particularly online. And of course, there's offline meetings, there's business networking organizations. If you're in a business place, there's hobby clubs and all of that. But you're going to be setting up an online business, so you want to find out where your audience and where the people you want to serve are actually hanging out online. Are they in Facebook groups? Are they in free communities? Are they taking part in Twitter chats regularly? Are they have they kind of organized themselves into Slack channels? And are they in other paid memberships? Find out where your audience are, where the people you want to serve are. And then step 3, go to them. Go spend time with them. It's really simple. The simplest thing you can do in marketing. Figure out who you want to serve. Find out where they are. Make sure you're in the same place. Passionate people find each other. And it's going to take people with passion to be the type of person who will be willing and likely to actually invest time and invest money in a membership site to help them further their hobby, to help them learn a new skill, to help them or to enable them to connect with people with shared interests. So you want people who are passionate enough to already be seeking solutions, to already be seeking communities based around what they're interested in. Passionate people find each other. Now it's your job to find them, spend time with them, hang out with them, observe, listen, ask questions, interact. Don't just go in there and go pitching stuff or go hard selling or, your first post in a Facebook group being, I'm starting with a membership, tell me what you want and tell me how much you'll pay for it. We actually see that happening quite a bit. So I'm fussing and fiddling with my hair here. It's so unbecoming. This is the perils of doing this sort of stuff live. So, don't just go in there all guns blazing once you've actually found where your audience are hanging out. Just spend some time there. Listen to what they're talking about. Find out or pay attention to what questions they're asking, what frustrations they're expressing, what problems they're having, what pains they have, what fears they have, what their goals are, their desires, their dreams, their ideas. Observe all of it, immerse yourself in this stuff, and sure, ask questions, get to know these guys. Because you need to understand what motivates these people. You need to understand what their problems are. You need to understand what's going to be most compelling to them in terms of a membership, because most memberships are set up to provide a solution. It's to help people achieve a goal, help people get some sort of positive outcome. But you can't create a solution until you truly understand the problem. So what you'll find is if you're going into other memberships, other Facebook groups, and you're taking note and you're paying attention to what people are talking about, then that's just going to give you a wealth of ideas for creating content. So if somebody's asking questions, you keep seeing the same questions coming up time and time again, you go off and you create a blog post that directly answers that question. And then anytime anyone asks that question again, you can direct them to that content. When you're doing that and you become associated with providing solutions to problems, answers to questions, then you can start to connect the dots between the free content you're providing and your membership. And that's how you start moving people from other places' audience, other people's audiences, over into your audience, from Facebook groups to your email list. By answering people's questions, by solving their problems at a smaller level, so that they trust you to answer their bigger problems, their bigger questions, to help them achieve the results they want, to help them get the outcome, the transformation that they're after. So take the time, and make sure you take the time, not just if you're in a launch phase right now, but regularly within your membership when you're up and running, because your audience are going to change, their needs are going to change, new challenges, new frustrations are going to crop up. You know, if somebody right now, their goal is to get from step 1 to step 2, then when they accomplish that, they open up a whole world of new challenges, problems, and questions that they need you to solve. So you need to always be engaging and paying attention to what is important to your audience. So first of all, take the time that your audience exists. You know, when you think about who you want to serve, it's very easy to idealize and build up this picture of this mythical, perfect member. The person I want to serve is the person, the ideal person I'd love to serve is someone who's willing to pay me money for my membership. No brainer. But you can idealize this, and you can paint this fantastical picture of a mythical perfect member who just doesn't exist. So you need to verify that your audience actually exists somewhere outside your head, somewhere other than in your mind, first and foremost. You then need to find and join the people who you most want to serve, and then learn and discover and pay attention to what they're most interested in, what they're most moved and compelled by. Then you use that to inform your strategy. You use it to determine the content that you create. You use it to create the things that will move people from other audiences and all these little pockets of passionate people that exist out there, to move them from those places to your audience, because you become associated with solving problems. You become associated with alleviating pains and frustrations and stresses. So learn what your audience are interested in, use that to inform your strategy. And you know, when it comes to getting people in your email list, generating email signups, converting them, and all that sort of stuff, then you know the specific tactics. There's so many different things that you can do. There's a lot of stuff that can work. But all the marketing strategies, sales funnel stuff, lead generation tips, all of that is going to be far less effective if you haven't done this fundamental stuff first. Truly researching and understanding your audience. And we dive into the sort of different tactics that you can use we've just recently released a course on membersiteacademy.com on audience building, and we drill really deep into this subject as well as into strategies and tactics. And of course, it's also something, as I said at the top of this, that we have been discussing a lot at the membershipguys.com, on the podcast and on the blog. So if you're looking for the actual tactics for what you do next after this initial fundamental audience building stuff of connecting with and engaging and finding your audience, then check out membersiteacademy.com if you're a member, or of course if not, find out about it and see why it's the craziest thing in the world if you're interested in memberships to not be involved in Membersite Academy. I mean, that's just bizarre. Or of course, there's lots of free stuff over at the membershipguys.com and in our Facebook group, talkmemberships.com as well. So that's kind of me. I think the fundamental stuff there, if you're not already doing it, start doing it. It's so easy. Get onto Facebook, search for your topic, find the groups, go and join them. Most of them will be free. Find Twitter chats that are going on. Who's tweeting with the hashtag related to your topic? Don't forget about places like LinkedIn and Google Plus and stuff like that. Check out meetup.com and look for actual physical, real world events that are taking place where people are so passionate about this subject that they are, dare it, leaving the house, like getting out in the real world. Insane. All right, so check out all this stuff. People are out there. Passionate people find each other, and you need those passionate pockets of people. This is turning this. I swear I'm not doing this deliberately with all this alliteration, but you need those passionate people. They're going to be the ones who are going to fuel your strategy. They're going to tell you how to make them part of your audience. They're going to tell you how to sell to them, how to tailor your membership to what they need and what they want. And ultimately, all the marketing strategies in the world, all the fancy sales funnels and Facebook pixels and all that kind of crap, none of that is anywhere near as effective as having a kick-ass product. Seriously, the best marketing strategy you can have for your membership is having an awesome membership, because it sells itself and your members will sell it. And the only way you're going to have that kick-ass awesome membership product is by truly understanding what your audience wants. So hopefully there's some value in this for you. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you want to see more live videos from myself. Also, we will be bringing Callie in this, for anyone who listens to the Membership Guys podcast. This isn't going to be one of those things where I stash Callie away for 50 or 60 episodes before finally allowing her on. We did have a question submitted from James before we started, which I'll happily answer. I know there's a slight delay on this, so as I'm answering this, I'll give you guys, if any of you have got a question that you want to ask, I'll give you guys an opportunity to ask that as well. What I would say, let me just quickly check, because I know this has been shared in a few places, and yeah, this has been shared in a few places, but best place if you're on the Membership Guys Facebook page, so that's facebook.com/membership guys. That's the place to ask the questions in the comments there, just to make sure that they all come in. So James asked that what sort of conversion rate is acceptable, or is a target you should go for when you launch a membership site. So it's kind of somewhat related to the audience building side of things, because and James even notes this. I made it all the way through without needing to cough or choking on whatever. So yeah, James even acknowledged this when he asked this, that he knows that it's not. It's going to vary. It's not going to be the same for everyone, and that is true. The only consistent thing about membership websites is that nothing is consistent. The only thing that is guaranteed is that nothing's guaranteed. So what works for one, what's a standard for one in terms of amount of signups or percentage conversion rates and all that, isn't going to play through right across the market. So a lot of what we talk about this stuff is rule of thumb. I would generally say that if you use your email list as a barometer for your audience size. So it's great having social followings and all that sort of stuff, but social followers, website traffic, if they aren't on your email list, if they haven't taken that first step towards committing a little bit more of their attention and interest to you, then there's still work to be done. So I would typically go from your email list size just as a barometer for the most engaged portion of your audience. And from that, I think if you're getting 5% to 10%, 10% being a good amount of those guys converting into paid members, that's a healthy place to be in. To be honest, 5% isn't too bad. I mean, the thing with lead generation and email marketing in particular is most people aren't being very targeted with it. There's still a little bit of a numbers game for a lot of people, where the focus is on having as big an email list as you can possibly get, which is a fallacy. I'd much rather have 1,000 highly targeted, rabid, raving fans on my email list who will eat up everything we say and who will buy everything we put out and who will, be the perfect fit for our personality, for our message and all that. I'd rather have 1,000 people like that on my list than 100,000 people who couldn't give a shit what we're doing. I just swore. Who couldn't give a drat what we're doing. So it's tricky with the numbers game. Very tricky with the numbers game. Daniel, thanks. We've got Daniel J. Lewis is checking out because he's very disciplined and he's got an app on, presumably on his Mac, that is to help him focus. And it's about to block Facebook, so it's about to stop him wasting time on Facebook. So I'll forgive you for leaving early then, Daniel. Thanks for tuning into this. But yeah, I mean, I think if you can get 5 to 10% of your website visitors converting to your email list, 5 to 10% of those guys converting to paid members at some point, that's a relatively healthy place to be. It's not going to be the same for everyone. The more targeted your website content is, so the more niche it is, and as a result, the more targeted your traffic is, the better it'll convert typically. the more targeted your lead generation activity, so whether you're segmenting your content, if you're using content upgrades and all that sort of stuff, more targeted that is, the higher your email lead generation is going to be. And the more segmented your email list is, the better the sales conversion will be. But yeah, 5 to 10% I think is a good barometer. You're going to get more of a spike at a launch naturally, because there'll be other elements in play, such as launch special pricing, such as event marketing, which is where you get to play around with deadlines and scarcity and urgency and all of that sort of stuff. But the main thing from that is there is no one size fits all answer with that, really. So a lot of it, especially in the early days, becomes rule of thumb in a lot of ways. And so, you don't, you're not really going to get the best read on how responsive your audience are until you've got a little bit of momentum going. And you can test that initially with a MVP kind of product to get an idea of how much they respond to you selling stuff to them. So I'm going to wrap things up there. Thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of time with me this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you want to see more. If you want to see more, please let me know. Hit away on the thumbs up, the hearts, the crying face, because it's so devastating that our time together is over this afternoon. If you obviously want to replay any of this, if you came in late, then obviously Facebook will automatically stick a little replay on our Facebook page. So make sure you like our page, facebook.com/membership guys. We'll also be putting it over on YouTube as well. As always, you can get a lot more from us over at themembershipguys.com, from our blog, from our podcast. We've got loads of free resources, and obviously our best stuff is there inside membersiteacademy.com, where we are doing some pretty awesome things, guys.